and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. It is always a great time to come to you wherever you are, whether you are at work or at home, in your car, wherever you are, you're listening to this show. We are grateful for that. So please do share with your friends, tag, share, and make a comment if you like what you hear. I just want to say that, of course, like I said, I'm always excited to be here on a Wednesday, but for the last couple of weeks, because of family challenges, I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to be here, to be here with you. But tonight is a great night because we have a topic that's going to be exciting, and this topic is about your confidence matter. Why? Because without confidence, you really will lose out a lot in life. So we're going to develop that topic with you tonight. I have an excellent and awesome guest with me. She's a spiritual business coach, a teacher, an author, and she's done so many things. She'll share with you how she met me at a party, and it wasn't that long ago, right, Gerda? So
Yeah.
without further ado, why don't I do that? Why don't I welcome you, Gerda, and give you an opportunity to, let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you've been doing in the last many years since you've been a coach.
Yes. Thank you, Gabrielle. I am so happy to be here, to be a part of this show and to have this conversation with you because it's a conversation that needs to be had more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And I already feel like I'm already gonna dive right in. So let me put a pin in that. And I want to share how we met. So we met just recently over the weekend at a cookout. I got there, I walked in, there were, everybody was there who was there. And I saw Gabrielle sitting at a table. And she was the only one sitting at the table. Everyone was kind of like in their little corner with their groups, and she was sitting at a table. And I just walked up to her table and I was like, hey,
I know.
how you doing? Can I sit here? Do you mind? And she's like, no. And we just hit it off and we were just talking. And that's how, you got to find out, about who I am and what I do, and invited me onto the show to talk about this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because, last week I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. And this is somebody that I've known for many years, someone who has impacted my life because she's always has great things and great support, like advice to give to me. But, she said something, and I knew it was an issue with confidence. She said something about herself, and I was like, no, that's not who you are. That's not how I see you. How is it that you see in yourself like that? And she said, I don't know. That's one area of my life that I've always been timid about. And I was like, you know what? My next topic is going to be about confidence because I know there's so many of you who are watching right now who have issues with that. People have confidence issues when it comes to speaking, public speaking. Like I know my cousin in Philadelphia have called me many times and she said, like, how do you do this, Gabrielle? How come you're able to do this? I'm like, I don't know. I just decided to do it. I feel the fear and I do it anyways. So it's the same way for you. We're going to talk about that. You're going to feel the fear, but we are asking you to take that leap of faith because at the end of the day, building your confidence is going to make a difference in your life, not only in your personal life, in your financial life, because this shows that it's Let's Talk Money with Friends. So it's going to be making a difference in your personal life, your financial life, and relations, so many different ways. So without further ado, why don't we start with the very first question, right? Yeah, we've talked so much about this topic, and I know it's all in your head. And I just want to ask you, for those who are watching, how do we go about building confidence?
So I'm gonna just say a little bit about myself, and then I will get into the question because I realized I did not really introduce myself. So my name is Gerda. I am a spiritual business coach. I work with spiritual entrepreneurs, healers who have a gift, who have something that they want to offer to the world, but they hold back. They hold back. They for whatever reason, and a lot of what I see is the confidence to actually go out into the world and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how what I do can benefit you, and this is how much I'd like to get paid for it.
Wow.
So I really help them to embody and tune in to their God-given talents and ability and their right to be paid for the work that they do. And how I came to this work was from my own personal journey. I have a background in mindfulness and mind-body healing from having been a personal trainer, yoga teacher. I am a mental health counselor. I have a degree in mental health and counseling with a specialty in trauma. I've been a massage therapist. So I've done all of these things because I've always had a desire and a knowing that my purpose here, my work here is to help people, to inspire and empower and build people up. And when you feel that you have that big calling within, you best believe you got to do some work to have the confidence, because how are you going to serve people if no one knows who you are? So that's a lot of what I had to do to work through to be able to put myself out there, to be visible enough, to be confident enough to speak and say, I'm Gerda, this is what I do, and this is how what I do can help you so that you can help more people. And in that way, the work that I do actually creates a ripple effect, because the people that I help then helps more people, who then helps more people. That is actually how we create change and create impact.
And don't forget, this is how much I would like to get paid for it. Because that's one of the things that I told you, that, you know, I've done business for a long time. I've been in business for a long time. And sometimes it's very challenging because you're so passionate about what you do. You don't know how to ask to get paid for the work that you do. I had a friend a long time ago who told me, Gabrielle, you have to get paid for the work that you do. And it gets very uncomfortable. And, you know, let's talk money with friends. We talk about money, we talk about cents, but we also want to let you know it's okay to ask for what you're worth. And in order for you to do that, right, Gerda, you have to build your confidence. So going back to the question, how do you go about building your confidence so that you can position yourself for greatness?
Yeah, so confidence really starts with self-belief. You have to have that belief in yourself that what you have to say is of value. You have to have that belief that what you're here to do serves a purpose. Because without that, you're not going to have the confidence to go out and talk about it. But it has to come from you first, because a lot of times people can go out and they're expecting to get accolades and admiration from other people. And you can get that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be your own fan first. You have to be your own best friend first. You have to be the one who's patting yourself on the back first. Say, yes, girl. Yes, dude, you got it. Because when the accolades come from other people, it doesn't really fill you up, and you're going to keep seeking that because you didn't cultivate it within yourself. And that is why self-belief is so huge and so important, and allowing yourself the ability to grow. I want to touch on what you said about your friend, that you're like, she's so awesome, she's so amazing, but yet there are places where she's like, oh, I don't know about that. And that's okay. That just lets you know that's where your next level of growth is, because everyone has confidence to some degree. But the work is like, how do you bring confidence in every area of your life? Like when I was a massage therapist, I knew that I was damn good at what I did, right? I knew that. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. Sure, people told me that all the time, but I knew. And because I had that belief in myself, when people would invite me to do private parties or private clients, say, hey, I want you to come to my house and give me a massage. And I'm like, oh, you want me to bring the full Gerda experience into your house? This is how much it's gonna cost. And I made no apologies about it.
So we talked about it yesterday, saying like, it has to start early. The example of like encouraging your kids at the dinner table to engage, to have conversation, because I know my friend, part of her challenge is that part of the challenge that she's having is that she's having public speaking. I'm not like you, Gabrielle. I'm always afraid to kind of get out of my comfort zone, because you came in like so many who had come in that day. You could have come in and decided to go and sit, because there were plenty of empty tables, right? Mm-hmm. You could have chosen one empty table to start, right? Just like so many of us in high school or in grade school, instead of going to the popular kids table, we will find the corner and hide, because we don't want to be seen. We don't want to, like almost like in our minds, we're thinking, I don't want to crowd out somebody else's space, right? Because you don't feel like you have enough to offer to that group, so you want to stay away. So how do we encourage kids? Because to me, it starts early. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, why is it important for parents, those who are watching who have children right now, in order for your kids to be able to assert themselves and ask for that raise and ask for that promotion and ask for everything else they're gonna need in life? You have to start at home.
Yes, it starts at home. And so because part of the work, so here's the thing. What I've come to realize is that the things that the adult, and that's why it's important and valuable that it starts early, because the things that most adults are struggling with today in their life has something to do with an experience in their past as children. Okay? Right. So for parents to pass that on to their kids, the parent has to acknowledge first within themselves, how can they teach by example? Because every parent, they want their kids to be out there. They want their kids to make friends, but there has to be a bit of the parent demonstrating that also. Being able to handle, because as a child, you go to the table and everybody's like, right? It does something. It does something. It's uncomfortable. So the parents have to learn to be uncomfortable with their own discomfort so that they can teach their kids how to deal with discomfort. And that is a very hard thing to do.
And it's part of it to be uncomfortable, because before I was able to do this, I had to learn how to be uncomfortable, because I remember when I was in college, I took public speaking classes, and I took many of them were not even credit classes, but I would take them so that I would become comfortable eventually, and also would volunteer at church to do presentation, to teach a class, or to lead worship or do anything, because at first it was uncomfortable. So that's what I was saying to my friend. You have to exercise that muscle. You go to the gym, you cannot expect the first day you come in and you're gonna be buff, you're gonna be looking lean and mean like Serena Williams, right? You have to go through the process of working it out over and over again. So this show here we do every Wednesday, and our goal, like I was saying, is to encourage those who are looking for encouragement, because a lot of people would look at this program and they're like, oh, let me pass it by, because there's nothing in it for me. There's always something in it for you. Many times we get stuck in the same place because offerings, information are available, resources are available, whether it is at church, whether they're asking for somebody to lead and you sit in there hiding. They're asking somebody at your school to lead the way, to lead a club, to lead something. You sit in there hiding, or you say, I don't want to be part of this. You're not realizing that being part of it can really change your life. I do believe wholeheartedly, I wouldn't have invited you here, and I wouldn't be doing this every Wednesday if I didn't think that the information that we are sharing here would change somebody's life. It will change your life if you take the time to listen and implement. Because it's one thing to hear, but it's another thing to go and do. So
Mhm.
again, we said it has to start early, and it's a muscle. And you are saying that. Can you give us more, tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah. And there has to be that willingness to take the risk and be vulnerable. Like putting yourself, like you said, you wanted to speak, so you went and took classes. So you knew it was going to be uncomfortable, but you were willing to take that risk and put yourself in that position to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. No one grows within that space. I can share a story with you really quickly. Before I became a yoga teacher, I worked in the gym. My undergrad is in exercise science. I was a personal trainer and a massage therapist. So I was really good with working with people one-on-one. Even though I wanted to teach group classes, it terrified me. Okay. And I kept wanting to teach group classes. And when I felt like that I wanted to be a yoga teacher, I was so afraid because my brain could not see myself in front of a class of 20, 10, 15, 20, 30 people telling them, what to do. But one-on-one, I was great. I had the confidence there. And I remember having a conversation, and this is where talking to people and allowing yourself to be inspired by others, and you have to do something with that inspiration and take the action. I remember there was a teacher that I really enjoyed, and we were talking when I was actually saying like, okay, I think I'm going to do it. So I was going around talking to people who were teachers to ask them, how did you know? What's it like standing in front of the room and teaching? And one of the teachers, he says, Gerda, listen, when I was young in school, I would get up in front of the class, I would literally faint. That's how terrified he was in being in front of people and speaking. He's like, whenever we had a presentation to do, and I would go to the front of the class, all the kids would go like, oh boy, here we go. And this person was teaching yoga. And I was like, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. Because I've done public speaking in class and I was comfortable with that. And I realized it was a story that I had in my head that was stopping me from pursuing this.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you said to be uncomfortable. And once you start becoming more and more comfortable, eventually it's gonna become comfortable, and you're not even gonna know. Because I can tell a story too. I remember someone asked me actually at the church, they had asked me to do a class, and I was petrified at first because I was like, oh, I know I'm one-on-one because I'd been in banking and really dealing with families one-on-one, but now to teach this financial class in front of everyone, a group of 10 or 20, was terrifying to me at first. But I don't know when it happened, but somehow it happened because halfway through the program, I was like, okay, all these people are my friends. They all care about me, and they're here to listen and to hear something great. So what we would like to encourage someone who's watching is that, listen, if you are uncomfortable with anything and you don't have the confidence in anything, you gotta go out and do it. The very thing that makes you uncomfortable, you gotta go out and do it. If it's public speaking, you gotta go and do it. If it's like having small conversation, you go to a party and you find yourself always hiding and you saying, how come I don't have any friends? How come I don't have any relationships? How come I'm not able to connect with people? It's because you haven't decided to be uncomfortable, right? And you had a job, right? You had that job and you've been there for years, and you see other people getting promoted. They're getting promoted, and you're like, well, maybe it's because I'm this, maybe it's because I'm that. Sometimes, yes, we deal with systemic racism in this country, but at the end of the day, if they don't know who you are, there's one thing we all learn in business, similar to me effect. If they don't know who you are and they cannot relate to you, they're not gonna hire you for that position. to be a leader in a company when they don't feel like you have the confidence, right, to do the work that needs to be done. So that lack of confidence can really impact so many areas of your life. And that's why it's so important to talk about it. It's so important to activate that passion for confidence when you are a child. Would you agree, Gerda?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as children, and there is something that happens within the developmental stage, right? Because when kids are usually under 5, they are confident. They will walk in the room and own the room. Most young kids, they will own that room and be like, look at me, look at my this, look at you, like my dress, like, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a ball player. I'm gonna be they have that. So
Right.
along the way, through life experiences, we start to lose that. When kids get of a certain age, and these are the stories that they grow up with into adulthood. So that's why it's important to encourage kids when they're young, when they're saying, oh, look at me, I'm beautiful. Oh, like it's good to continue to encourage that, to remind them, when they start to get older, and they start to maybe get picked on at school, it's important for the parent to remind the child, remember who you are. At 10-year-old,
Yeah.
remember the 5-year-old that was like, look at me, I'm a model. That's who you are.
Correct. And I think that's so important going back. It's so important because, I was born in Haiti and I remember being in grade school and my teacher saying, you smart, you dedicated, you very committed. I like that about you. And when I came to high school here and, I was dealing with some knuckleheads, students trying to second guess my greatness. I was like, listen, I have receipts of what I've done before and I know I can do it again. So it's the same way. Don't wait until you are seen even to start your greatness. You can become great at home. Whatever you do it with greatness. You do it great, and let your parents say, "Oh, you did your bad grade. You were diligent at doing your homework on time and every day. So they didn't have to go be chasing you. All that builds confidence when you know that you can deliver on your promises. Because at the end of the day, what you do quietly when nobody's seeing will give you the confidence that you need and empower you to be able to do it in public when you're gonna be able to be seen. Because I think that confidence is very important to start at home and to build it one day at a time, one step at a time, one project at a time, one homework at a time. One, yes, mom, I'm gonna do this at a time. Yes, husband, if I say I'm gonna do this, I'll do it. Yes, wife. And I think when you have that self-confidence at home, you can go to the workplace and assert that and feel confident about it. Would you agree, Gerda?
Yeah, there's something that you said there. Well, there are two things that I use the word decision. You decide. That's what it is. Because I work with so many people who they want to go do something. They're waiting until they are confident enough to go do it. That's not how it works.
It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen. You have to make the decision that I am going to go for this. Even if that's why taking the risk and being vulnerable is so important. That you making that decision, I am going to do this and let what happen, because that's your growth, that's your evolution. But you said something, what you do behind closed door is actually what creates your success. It's not what people see out here. It's the things that you do behind closed doors.
The work that you put in when nobody's watching.
When nobody's watching.
Yes.
That is what creates your success. And you don't sit on the sideline to get that. You have to be in the game.
And I'm so glad because I took the leap of faith and I decided to make a decision to go for the class, take those classes that I didn't even need to graduate, but I took them. The fact that I made the decision to say yes to teaching a class at a church when I was uncomfortable. The fact that I said yes to my boss that I will do the training when I was uncomfortable. Now I do work in the community. I get to go teach at Harvard. Let's say, let me tell you, in front of like law students. And I'm like, I'm as comfortable as it comes because I've done it before. When I go for my speaking engagements at the universities here, let me tell you, they're like, how do you do this? Because I decided years ago to be uncomfortable, and now I can be comfortable. Because when I'm in front of the classroom, I don't think about the students. I don't think about the environment that I'm in, I just think about the fact that I'm here to add value. Yes. And the value that I've already built in me can be an important asset for them. So again, it's important to build confidence, right? And how do you do it? One step at a time, like going to the gym, right? Pumping those irons, because if you do that, eventually you're gonna build a muscle, and that muscle is gonna help you in so many areas of your life. So can we enumerate some of the areas before we hang up here? Like what areas of your life? We already mentioned some of them that will change your life, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with a relationship, right?
Yeah.
You're single, right? Single, you're trying to find somebody to spend your life with, and then you like want to be comfortable at the same time. How does that work? Can you tell a little bit about the story we saw this weekend? It was a funny story this weekend. I want you to tell that story, Gerda.
Me?
Yes. We talked about it. Come on.
Yeah. So it's every area of your life, like you like you said, you're single, you're looking for a partner. Guess what? You're gonna have to get uncomfortable and get vulnerable. And I'm gonna keep using the word vulnerable because a lot of people think vulnerability means weakness, but it doesn't. Okay. So there has to be this willingness to challenge whatever stories that you're telling yourself, like, oh my God, I can't ask that person out. They might say no. So what?
Like this weekend, right? We were sitting there and we saw this guy making his move, and we're like, yes, he's coming, because he's a gentleman and he knew that he had to take risk. And he kept looking, the opportunity came, boom, he took it. Of course, our friend let him down because she wasn't interested. But you know what? What did we say again? Now we gave him A+.
Yeah, because absolutely. Because he now gets to walk away and I'd be like, man, I should have spoken to her. She could have been the one. I should have, like, you take yourself out of all that mental chatter of all like, like he was like, I saw what I wanted. I took the risks. I was willing to be rejected.
Vulnerable.
Okay? Be vulnerable. And tell this person, hey, how you doing?
Do you wanna dance? And it was so funny. But you know what? I have so much respect for a guy like that, because he was willing to do what most are not willing to do, what many are not willing to do. Because I was like, wow, what a confident man, So in addition to relationships, we have the workspace, right? Money. Many times we're afraid to ask for that promotion or even that raise, because we feel like I'm not worth it, or I'm going to be rejected, or that might cost my job. What do you say to someone who's at work right now? They know they're doing the work, but they come to the office and their heads, with their head down. They're excellent workers, but they're not getting promoted because nobody knows who they are. What do you tell them today?
Well, it's get uncomfortable. I see when it comes to creating money and success, there are two things that I see that actually stop people from going for it. And I think this one right here is the number one confidence killer. It's comparison. Looking at yourself and say, oh, this person is going to get the promotion, but I'm not. Right? Not believing that your effort, is equal. Right? Yeah, well, it's one promotion. Yes, someone has to get it. But even if that person gets it, it doesn't mean that they're better than you. For whatever reason, that person was chosen. whatever. The work for you then is to say, what can I do here to make myself a more interesting candidate? You got to be willing to look at like, okay, where am I stopping myself? Instead of comparing and saying, oh, well, it's because this person is that, or even like anything where you like, oh, this person created this success and they're so great, they're so amazing, and I'm not, so they can charge, $500 an hour, but I have to charge 200 because I'm not this, and that. No, own your value now.
Own it now. And as for that promotion, I remember when I was in my 20s, working for corporate America, I would ask for a promotion and I would ask for a raise, even though I know I'm not gonna get it, even though it wasn't time. And the reason I wanted to be uncomfortable. I'll call some of my friends and my former bosses. I'll be like, listen, I think I deserve a raise. And they'll be like, you just got a raise. Hey, I did try and ask. You could say no, or you could have said, they could have said yes, but you gotta ask. You gotta ask. If you don't ask, nobody's gonna know what you want. And if they don't know what you want, they cannot give it to you. I say that you gotta ask. There was this something that, you have to, you don't have to know it all. You don't have to know everything to feel confidence. Because I know for a lot of us, especially minorities, we feel like, we have to have all the degrees in the world and all that. Meanwhile, we have some people, as we know, they have half of what we have. They have less in terms of education, but they'll go and ask for that management position. They'll go and ask for that director position because of the confidence that they've been able to build along the way and the privilege that they've decided to take advantage of. So we have privilege too, and it starts with your confidence.
Absolutely.
So do you have one last word for our audience here, those who are watching now and those who will be watching in the future?
Yeah, I love that you said we have privilege too, especially as people of color. There's this big narrative that's saying that because of who you are as a person of color or as a woman, you don't have privilege. And I'm a firm believer, like, you create your own privilege. Okay. And that's why it's so important to focus on you and really inspire you and motivate you and give yourself that pat on the back. Okay. That, like, talk to yourself with kindness, with reverence. Once you get so deep in love with yourself, so deeply in tune with yourself, you're not looking at what is this person doing? What is that person doing? Are they better than me? They have that privilege and I don't. No, you know that you have something great to offer. You know that you are someone of worth and of value. And from that knowing, you will ask for that promotion. From that knowing, you will start that business. From that knowing, you will go for that relationship. From that knowing, you will price your services right. From that knowing, you will know that you are unstoppable. You can create anything you want once you decide.
Once you decided to do it. And I think it's so important. I love the fact that you talked about, like, accept rejection. People will reject you. It's okay. Move on. It's okay. Move on. What's the big deal? They see you're not the person for them. Move on. This young man, he asked and she said no. Guess what? He's gonna continue to ask. And when the right person is gonna say yes. Don't sit there thinking that somebody else is better than you. Like you said, you are as good as it gets. Go get it. Go get it. Stop protecting yourself from shame and hurt and rejection, because the more you protect yourself, the less you're gonna get, right?
You're not living.
You're not living. You're barely existing. Lead the way. Do one thing. Do one thing today. If you are someone who's afraid, who would go to a party, especially holidays are coming up, you go to a party and instead of joining the crowd and feel like you can be part of that conversation, you're hiding like a wallflower behind. you want to say, you know what, I'm going to a Christmas party this year and I'm going to join in the conversation. Because by joining in the conversation, you might meet the person of your dream if that's what you're looking for. Or you might, because so many people have gotten jobs and promotions and also referrals. If you're a business person, you don't want to say, well, it's never going to happen for me because I don't have what it takes. You have what it takes. You do. Go get it. Believe in yourself. Have confidence, believe in yourself because it matters in every area of your life. Embrace it. Embrace confidence. Because if you do, it may not work today. Just like I said, this young man got rejected. But guess what? We are doing this show today. How many people are watching? We don't know. But guess what? We are building our confidence because when the time comes for prime time, we'll be ready. Good night. Have a great time and enjoy. Please tag, share, and let your friends know that every Wednesday there's an awesome show that's live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you'd like to hone their skills and also be part of the conversation, please do, because the time to do anything, it's never tomorrow. It's today. It's now. Have a blessed day. Blessed night.
It's like you're still